I consider the determining factor for success how willing you are to push through what I would consider to be adversity or what most would consider to be adversity. Now, what do I mean by that? Because it looks a lot different from when you first start a company or you first go into business than it does after you land your first customer, after your first 5, 10, 20. And once you've landed enough that you know that you're never going to go back to a time when you were starving or along these lines. So, in the beginning, when I first started, the adversity was getting to the first customer. It was a real mental battle opposed to a daily struggle in the operations of your business. Because the mental battle is this actually going to work out for me? I have bills to pay. I have this that has to happen. I need to land customers. I need to make money from those customers. And in the world of freight, that is a very big gamble if you operate on the spot market. If you look for spot market freight, spot freight, which is more random, not consistent, not any guaranteed lanes. It may pick up at one facility all the time, but you don't really know where it's going to end up at for delivery. So you have to source a new carrier every time. That's a big gamble because you always have to quote first before you end up winning a lane. And if you quote first, odds are that you don't have a carrier for it. So you have to then go out to a load board or call out on trucks and just see what someone is willing to do it for. And you can do this a couple of different ways. You can quote way above market in what you know it takes to actually run a truck that somebody would want to pick up your load and go deliver it. Or you can take the gamble and you can go onto the load boards. And when I first began, I had to utilize those load boards and I had to basically gamble. Now, I'm in a market that I already knew, luckily, because I already worked in this space. But you never know when you're calling on a shipper where their customers are at. You can have assumptions. You can look up who would be a customer for this and where it could potentially go and find lanes, then call out on carriers. But I needed to get to the quickest dollars possible. Even if it meant negative dollars, I figured I would rather know the lanes if they're consistent or not. And then I could go and find carriers afterwards because I would know to bring forth everything. Hey, I noticed that you had this load picking up here, going to here this many times per week or this many times per month. I have a carrier who can absolutely do it every single time for you. It's going to be this amount. Let me know if that works for you. And if it didn't, then you can lose money once and you can move on and go find a different opportunity. So in the beginning, it's a very big mental struggle because that freezes so many people. It would have froze me, but it didn't. I actually used that as reason to just hammer the phone. It was, I've got bills I got to pay. Yes, I have money set aside that I can pay for my bills with, but I don't want to run through my life savings trying to get a business off the ground. I would rather maybe take a month, 2, 3 months, and then I would rather be able to have the cash flow coming in where I don't have to touch my life savings anymore. That would be ideal. I understood that there was going to be time periods where I didn't have anything coming in. And luckily, I was fearful enough, and that drove me to hammer the phone, to make the phone calls, to earn the business, to push past that fear instead of it making me stay stagnant. And then once you start earning customers and once your bills are covered, then it gets onto a different level of adversity. Then it gets onto a level of, okay, I no longer am worried about what it's going to cost me to live my life anymore, but now I'm in the spot where my bills are taken care of and I have all this free time, and now I can kind of pick and choose if I want to work or not. Because I could run all my freight for the first 2 weeks of the month and then I can take the last 2 weeks of the month off. But then you have to worry about your customers leaving you. So now it's this kind of give and take of I want to work, but I don't want to work too much because I want to enjoy this freedom that I just created for myself. And then you start to kind of like slack off a little bit and you kind of start to take it easy and you start to kind of rest on your laurels and you have to really put yourself back into that mindset of growth. You want business to grow and you have to redefine what your goals are because you've already hit your goals. If you got into it just for freedom like I did, I hit my freedom number a long time ago. You only have to make so much. You only have to cover your bills. And then you could live technically paycheck to paycheck, but at least you're making it on your own. So it's not like you're going in being a slave to a boss. This is my mindset, by the way. So I hit my freedom number a long time ago. And it turned into, I want more than a freedom number. I still want to be able to put money aside like I used to. I still want to be able to have money to invest elsewhere. I still want to be able to have fun. I still want to be able to go out to eat. So it's not the freedom number that I'm looking for anymore. Now it's, I'm looking to do X. And then you get back into that mode of making the calls. You start earning more business. And now you have a little bit more money to gamble with because you know you still have your life savings set aside. And you also had this cash flow that was already paying for your life. So you can afford to take a couple more losses if you really want to figure things out. And that is the game that you play while you scale. And then eventually your business gets to the spot where you're cash flowing. You've already hit your freedom number. You've exceeded your freedom number by a great amount. And now it's, how big can I get this thing? And that's where I'm at currently. Because now the struggle is, when do I add my next person? When do I continue to add people? How big do I want to scale? And I don't have that answer at this current moment. I've thought about it a lot. I'm always pushing for that next level. I've currently run anywhere between 200 to 250 loads a month. And it's, how much do I want to scale? Because I have so much more freight available to me. And now I have this money that I can gamble with. But how, I am only finitely scalable. I can only run so much freight, especially in the current freight markets. I can only manage so much on my own that I need to add people if I want to continue to operate and run more additional freight. So if I want to see the top line number go up and the margin number go up and the load count number go up, then I need to add more people to be able to scale because I can only scale to 250, 350 loads in a month. I don't think that I could manage 400 or 450 like I used to back in a different freight market when you could just rely on spot boards. You could post a load up and get it covered nearly immediately. It's not the same game anymore. It's not. It's not that same game. Now it's about relationships. Now it's about actually delivering on value to your customers opposed to just saying we can be the cheapest price. And it's a different game. So there's adversity at every level. And some of it is self-inflicted adversity, and some of it is outside market adversity. So it's internal and external adversities that you have to deal with. And how you deal with those adversities is how you can determine who is going to be successful in the game that they play. What adversities do they put on themselves? Are the problems that they create for themselves bigger or smaller than the true problem itself? Because if someone says, that's not really a problem, I can figure that out in any second, they're probably going to be pretty successful. If you can look at a problem and say, that's not a real problem, then they're going to be beyond the people who see the smallest inconveniences and say, well, that's a problem that needs to be solved immediately, and they waste time on it. Being able to triage in your mind what needs to be handled now, what's the important tasks, what are actually problems, what can be solved in the future, what do we need to have systems for, what do we not, and what can we build systems for so that it's not a problem in the future? That is an unbelievable skill. And that will help you be able to deal with any adversity that you have, whether it's internal or external. And if you face too much adversity, you will begin to shut down unless you focus on solution. So focus on solutions, deal with adversity, and if you can push through it, you will get better at it every single time. And each problem that you come across will no longer feel like it's such a big weight pulling you down. It'll just seem like another thing that you got to figure out. Take care.